We're live? All right.
Do we have some of the green thingy?
I just come for the first time. I'm just listening what the issues are, what's going on.
Awesome. Ma'am, what's your name?
I'm Amanda. Amanda Villamarion.
Oh, sure. Go ahead and spell that for me.
Villamariel.
Wow. Never heard of that. Cool.
Excellent. Welcome.
All right. The time is 6:03. This meeting of the Fern Bluff Municipal Utility District Board of Directors has come to order. Roll call of directors. All directors are present and accounted for. Director Smith, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this evening?
Happy to. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Director Smith. All right. No Brian today?
I can give you his report if you would
When we
like.
get to it? Okay.
Very short.
Sure, let's do
All
it.
of our irrigation checks have been completed for the month. And True Green just did the broad weed application. Hopefully it'll help with our weeds. But the biggest thing is we are now mowing the green belt, all the green belts, especially the big areas where the wildflowers have been. We had a wet spring. We had an abundant wildflower season this year. And so they just stayed in bloom for the longest time. But they've now pretty much all gone to seed. There are some areas that obviously with wildflowers, you have weeds. So they're out mowing those. They're on the tractor with a big mower behind it. They were doing the back of Olson Meadows this afternoon, and they'll be over in the Brightwater area. So I can just tell you that we've been receiving a few complaints because obviously it looks terribly overgrown and unkept, but that is the nature of the wildflowers. You do not want to mow them too soon or you lose all the seeds for next year. So it's been a hard needle to thread during, especially this year because of all the rain. But we really do want to keep as much of the wildflower growth going. So it's just going to be, there's going to be a month, 6 weeks after a spring like this that we're going to look a little shabby. But there's a reason behind it. And if you notice on all the highways, they're doing the same thing. They're letting them go as long as they can because those seeds are, critical for the next year. So there's your report.
Well, thank you.
I got a question for you. As you know, I'm getting complaints about the green belt in Oak Brook. Is there any way we can at least publish a date or a set of days as to when they're going to mow so that we can point to that?
I can't do that. And the reason I can't do that, and I can just tell you as the general manager, I can't do that because as soon as I put a date out there and it rains and we can't go to that area, then that's even more complaints. You said it would be on the 11th. We have to have some flexibility. The second piece of that is I know that we have some people that always want us to start in one particular area. That's not feasible either. As an example, the last time we did all the Oak Brook area, we had a really big rain. So we had to walk away from Oak Brook. We had to go and mow the other areas that are drier that we can actually mow. So I'm just going to say it out loud. Okay. It is very hard for a mud, a city, whatever, to keep everyone happy. Our green belts will never look like our parks. They're not meant to be mowed and manicured the way our parks are. There are going to be times that they are a little bit overgrown or whatever. They are a green belt. They are not a park. And I'm having this not just in a particular area. Too many people like to use our green belts as their doggy stations. They are not meant for that. It is a violation of district rules and it's a violation of county law. And anytime I see a dog off leash doing its business in the green belt, I'm going to call the sheriff's department. And I've been recommending to our residents to do the same thing. It's disgusting. Number one, your dog, keep them in your yard. It is really awful in particular areas for our landscapers. Imagine it's not one dog in your yard that you're mowing over. It is 10 or 12. It's disgusting. So the green belts are not doggy stations. They are not meant to be used for that. I'll take the hit on that all day long. We're having a problem district-wide with too many people letting their dogs off leash. They're letting them do their business in the parks, on the trails. It's awful. I just don't even know how to describe it. It's just awful. And we put out stuff in our newsletters, in MailChimps, on the bills, and we'll just keep doing that. But that is not what the green belts are for.
It's still county law. You can't have a dog off leash.
That's exactly right. You can't have them off leash. And if you don't pick up the poop from your dog, you can also be ticketed. So I get it. I mean, I've always had dogs. I get it. It would be far better if they did their business somewhere other than in my backyard. I have a 2-year-old grandson. And he picked some up and he told me it was meat. And you're like, okay, we're not picking up as good as we should. I'm being as serious as a heart attack. It's the truth.
Time for a sandwich.
But my dog, my yard, my responsibility, not the green belts. And for goodness sakes, not the parks and not the trails.
Okay, well, I just had to ask.
I know, and I appreciate you asking. And I'm not trying to be difficult.
No,
It's
I
just that depending on our areas are very, very different.
Right.
And it really does depend on the weather. Right now, when it's dry like this, we can mow wherever. But there may be a week to 10 days in between. If we start in this area doing greenbelt and drainage ditches, it may be 10 days before we finish the other one. Next time we may start here and finish up, say,
Right,
at
so
Cheatham.
There's no set cycle.
No,
It depends
well,
on the weather, it depends on
That's
the
right.
situation.
our
but,
contract
yeah.
is they mow every 4 weeks except for wildflower season. And then we try to just do the cuts along the
Right.
pathways and that type of thing.
Right.
So no, and I know that people want that. It's just not feasible. It's just not feasible.
Is it once a month along pathways also?
Yeah, because in the wintertime, we don't have to cut as frequently or whatever. Sometimes we'll be able to do that every 3 weeks. It just really depends on what everything else that's going on. It's just like this last month. Not only were we doing, our regular routine maintenance, but we were also putting in the bed down at Harryman and Great Oaks. If you haven't been there, I invite you to go down there. It is absolutely gorgeous. The rock sign is just stunning, and it's done on both sides, so you see it from whichever way you're coming from the trail, and it's going to be beautiful once it kind of fleshes out a little bit. But it's a really pretty bed down there, and I think it's a great introduction into, you're now in Fern Bluff Mud area.
If you don't want to get out of your car to see it, go under the bridge, and it's right there in the corner.
Go right there into that little parking area, walk out onto the onto the trail, and you're there. Yeah, it's really pretty. So there's sometimes things happen as
Yeah.
well.
Well, yeah, no, I understand that, and you've seen some of the issue, And maybe part of the problem is that there are those cul-de-sacs that are, Oak Brook, that are being mowed weekly or every other week, which obviously then it stands out because everything around it is tall. But
Yeah.
I understand. And like I said, I just had to ask to see if there was some kind of a schedule that we could share, but if not, we'll just have
It's
to
not,
deal
and
with
it's just not feasible. I mean, I always want to keep our residents happy.
Mhm.
Okay, I do. But there are some that, despite all the efforts made, they're just, that's kind of like their button, if you will. You know what? That's kind of their button. And we've had a couple of times to where Texas Lawn and Garden, because, whatever, the different guy is on the mower or whatever, they literally mowed like in an area for Oak Brook, that
Yeah,
it's not really ours.
Oh, right.
Well, then the expectation becomes that we do mow it. And it's like, no, that was kind of a, accident there, but no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe I'm a little bit tough. If something like that is right next to my yard, i.e. my neighbor's yard is really aggravating me, I get myself out there and go mow that. Or I ask my husband, please go mow it. And I understand that people have some really nice yards and some really nice landscape, okay? But again, the Greenbelt's not a yard, it's not a park. And if that area just, torques you that bad, take a mower and go down it a couple of mows, and then it won't be so ugly.
I don't think you really mean that.
What?
I hope you don't really mean that.
Which part?
Suggesting that people go mow if it's bothering.
Well, it's a slippery slope. Well, why did you stop there? Why didn't you do the that's next to yours also?
No, I would prefer they not. But if that torques them every single morning when they get up, that's the thing that makes them angry on that day. Yeah, go mow it. We're not going to fuss. Oak Brook's not going to fuss. We mowed 2 stripes beside someone's property.
Yeah.
It'll make your day a little better. Go ahead on.
We have some neighbors who actually.
As long as you're improving it, not damaging it.
Not damaging. I said mow it. I didn't say dig it up. I mean, I really didn't.
I'm just clarifying.
No, I would of course prefer not. Of course not. I mean, we don't want anybody hurt. We don't want anyone taking over our responsibilities. But I'm just saying, I have no idea what the email was that was sent to you guys, but I can guess. And it's always, the Greenbelt has never looked this bad. It's been 3 months since you mowed. It's always that inflammatory. And even after I've had a conversation with them and explained, and I've had several of them about the wildflowers. No, we are, I understand that it's unkept. I'm really sorry. I know you don't like this at your back gate. I get it, but it's far more important for us to protect these wildflowers that we've been protecting for years. And it's just going to be a little while longer. It's not a good enough explanation because I didn't say, yes, we'll be there tomorrow.
It's a commitment. When you plant something like that, it's a commitment to naturalize it and let it follow its own seasonal cycle and growth cycle and everything.
Well, and we have that come the fall with the blue stem. And I know everybody hates it. I know, but that is a natural grass. It grows really, really fast. And quite frankly, we want that grass. That is a beneficial grass. And maybe you don't like those tall things sticking out there, but that's nature. That's what our green belts are. That's nature. That's what they're intended to be. We start getting rid of all of that, especially in our drainage areas, we create flooding problems for us. So we need to be cautious and take care of it as best we can. And I think we're doing a really good job. Not to say we don't get behind sometimes. Sometimes, we have equipment breakdowns, etc. But sorry. And I'm sorry you guys get emails about it.
No, it's all good. It's all good. All right. Well, thank you for the parks maintenance update. Looks like I skipped over citizens communications. Do we have anyone here to address the board for 2 minutes? No?
No.
All right. Done. Moving on. Consent agenda. Do we have anything to remove from the consent agenda this month?
I do not.
Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Actually, before that, I have a couple of questions about the ledger real quick on page 5. So my first question is, so on 5/24, we made a $75,000 payment to Whirlix. That's the vendor for the parks, right?
Correct.
Okay, so
That's for Veterans Bar?
That's for veterans.
now, so is that the final cost or is that like a deposit?
That's the 60%
Okay.
deposit.
Right.
Yes.
Now, as far as that goes, so that comes out of the park fund, right?
Capital fund.
Okay,
Our park fund that you see in the P&L every month, that is our park maintenance and everything. If you remember
no,
on the,
not that. I'm talking about we talked several months ago about the $669,000 we have in our park fund.
how do I say this? Yes and no. In the sense that amount could be transferred out of the park fund and put in here, but there's no reason to. If you look at the P&L, we have not spent our capital improvement funds. It's still sitting in basically our reserve and in our checking account. So we don't do those types of transfers until big purchases come along. They will be reflected in the audit, but no. I think that's how I
Okay.
meant to say that. Yes.
So my second question regarding parks. So on 5/31, we made 3 checks to Texas Lawn and Garden, one for $31,568, one for $13,600, and one for $33,275. What were those for? First question, what were those for? I know one of them was our monthly
That's
landscape.
correct.
Now
The 33, I don't have the documentation sitting here with me.
One
But
is Harryman Greenbelt renovation.
That's exactly right. The 13, I don't know if the top of my head can tell you that,
Okay.
but I can get you
So-
that in. I can get you that invoice.
All right.
Wasn't it mulch? Or- I'm trying to remember too.
I think it was line item improvement that we improved previous month.
Yeah,
Above regular maintenance, it was replanting or
was that Cheatham? I'm sorry,
Okay.
I don't have my
Okay.
stuff with me, or I could tell
All
you
right.
exactly.
Now, as far as that goes, my other question is, why was that not reflected on the P&L?
It is
Under which category?
capital improvements.
So capital quality improvement is only listed as 19,077.
Oh,
Park landscaping, 18110 is 31,221. But capital outlay is only 16,760 is only 19,077.
okay. Let's see here. Okay, so the 19,077. Well, you're also talking about, this is the May P&L. Hang on. Okay, so let's see here.
Well, on the P&L, it says May 24th. Those checks weren't paid till May 31st. Might not be reflected in the P&L.
No, that's kind of what I'm thinking here. Let's see. So our capital improvements, we budgeted 127,875. We spent 1907. The 33 would have come out. I think that would have come out in the actual June. I can't tell you
Okay,
that for
so
sure.
that's gonna show on the June P and L?
I think so.
Okay, all right. Now, my last question is, okay, so looking at our legal fees that we have spent over the course of, and I think that might, okay, so, okay, actually that probably just answers the next question, because my other question was about legal fees. So over the course of this ledger, which also includes June, we have spent $13,678 in legal fees to Duggan's and to Zach Evans' law firm. And so the P&L actually shows 11,193 of it. So my other question is, will the remaining 2,400 show up in the June P&L?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So,
You have access to all of that backup documentation in that file, the online file.
Right.
So all of the, anytime you want to see what an invoice is, that's where it is.
okay. So all those invoices are in the
Absolutely.
files. Okay.
Every single one.
So that was it. I was just, whenever I see big checks for like $33,000 and $8,000, then kind of little ding goes off.
But
So
75 doesn't move you, huh?
do what?
But 75,000 doesn't move you if it's for playground.
No, it's the 75 definitely raised a little.
Yeah, no, I
Well,
saw
and,
that
and
too.
Little
we,
hair
you guys,
on my-
well, I know, and you guys
Yeah.
looked at the proposal.
Mhm.
We talked about the amount of.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. I just didn't see the 75,000 noted on the P&L or on the cash transfer anyway, and I'm just want to be clear. I'm fine with that money
Got it.
coming out of the GOF.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that it is being noted. And I once again, I'm not, Debbie is doing a great job, so I don't doubt anything. So I didn't see it in the packet, so that's why I was asking.
I got you. Just know that no expenditure is ever paid without a corresponding general ledger account. And that's our check and balance.
Okay.
Okay,
Um,
between Debbie and I. So there you go. Got it.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
All right, motion by Director Barnes to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
Second by Director Smith, all in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Consent agenda is approved. All right, agenda item number 7, Roads Committee. Do we have anything?
I don't have any updates.
All right, we'll move on. Number 8, General Manager's Report, Operations Report. What do we got?
My report's on page 22. We need to have a Parks Committee meeting, Jessica and Rich. I've got some preliminary plans for Brightwater and for Fern Bluff Park that we need to talk about. We also need to set up a time for a Budget Committee meeting. The next meeting, July 23rd, we should have our draft budget ready for the board to approve in July. And then our tax hearing this year will be on August 27th before our regular meeting. It's early because our meetings are different and the county has gotten really stringent on when everything has to be turned into them. We need to do it by August 27th. We already have a draft budget ready to sit down with you guys and flesh it out, if you will. 2 things about the budget. I won't have certified values for the the district appraisals until July. But I can tell you that appraisals last year were $913,838,006. This year, they're $948,919,151. That's an increase of about 35 million in appraised values. It's considerably lower than the increases we've been getting over the last several years. This one is right at 3.8%, rather than the 9-10% we were hitting consistently every year. So that's our numbers that we will start with our appraised values district-wide. Sheriff's Department is requesting an increase on their hourly rate. Most of the off-duty officers that are working for cities, other MUDs, etc., are making $65 to $70 an hour. We're paying $50 an hour. They have not requested an increase in, I think it's 3 years. So we're going to need to deal with that in our budget as well. We've already made allowances for it as we've gone through and looked at expenses this year. What will our increases be like for the next year? But the board will need to consider what we're going to do as far as our officers if we want to keep our patrols.
I know we're running behind other
We are.
MUDs.
We are.
I know that.
And honestly, and I hear it from every one of our deputies, the Fern Bluff MUD is just a really good gig. They like working here. They really love our residents and our neighborhoods. And so that's why they haven't hit us every year or whatever.
And you said that we've already accounted for an increase in our budget for our current budget, or that's what we need to look at for next year?
That's what we need to look at for next year. Yeah, Hector and I have been spending some time going through and trying to get our numbers together so that as a committee we can have kind of our goalpost, if you will. So we've already accounted for an increase. Let's see, there was something else I was going to ask you. Or tell you. Trash and collections, it's getting better. Not to say it's perfect, not perfect. One of the things that would really help if our residents would pay attention and have their trash out by 7 a.m. It's always been that way. This isn't new, but many of them on certain streets got used to the trash truck always comes about 9:30. Well, this time they don't. They started in another area of the district or whatever. You got to have your trash out by 7, and they document it. If it's not out by 7, they're not coming back to pick that up. Central Texas didn't do it, and Republic's not going to do it. So get it out the night before or get it out by 7.
We should probably add that as a reminder in the next newsletter for sure.
That's a good idea.
Was Oak Brook the only one where they missed streets, or was it all throughout the district?
No, it was pretty much in what it was is we have that little section
On the other side of O'Connor.
that's exactly right. And something was messed up on their mapping,
Mhm.
and thought they had it fixed, and then the very next week they missed that Morgan Hill area again.
Yeah.
So then is the takeaway that they don't necessarily start on the same street?
We were just very, very fortunate for a lot of years. A lot of the same people worked. They knew our district. They knew the quirks that we have, as they do in all of their areas. We've got new drivers. We've got new supervisors. We've got, I don't know. It'd be great if they would start at the same place and be there at 9:20 in the morning, but I don't think it's going to happen.
They don't have a required route to start on.
No.
They start where they start and they finish when they finish.
That's
And
exactly
that's
right.
the program.
And that's the program.
So if they have to start on your street for whatever reason, and they're early, that's not their problem. They start collecting at 7.
That's exactly
Ours
right.
has not been consistent, and they've only missed twice, and that was just 3 houses, and they just weren't used to the pattern yet. They had new drivers.
And there it is. And I will say this, when I'm notified of that, because we know we have some weird streets and some weird cul-de-sacs. They will come back. It
Mhm.
may not be until the next day, but they have been pretty good about coming back.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. I know that, I mean, their first truck comes through 7:30 between 7:30 and 8 on, in our area. And then the next one might be 9 to 1.
absolutely.
And then the recycling, when on recycling days, I think I've seen them there at 6 p.m. coming through, which is not what CTR did, but
They do their very
So,
best to
yeah.
always finish us in a year, in a day. And sometimes, like in the spring, when people have all of the extra boxes or whatever with the recycle, it'll go late. I mean, that's just.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, be careful because they may pick your trash up at 2:00. Don't take that can in unless it's empty.
oh yeah, no problem.
I'm kidding. I did that one. I was like, we don't have very much time. Oh, they haven't been here yet. That's all I have.
That's all you got?
Mhm.
Mr. Operator, anything to add for operations?
Just a couple comments. Saturday, June 15th, about 11 p.m., I get a text from Miss Miller over here asking if I'm awake. So I replied with a yes, and she kindly informed me that we had a leak on Capri Isle. And this one's just a testament. I know I keep ragging on spare parts, but we had a service line leak on Capri Isle, and I was home by 2:00 that morning, no, Sunday morning. So, I mean, we got in, made the repair, got out, and things worked out really well. So, had we not had those spare parts, it could have been a very long night. So,
Did we use our own equipment like backhoe or anything, or contractor?
we used a contractor, and he used a shovel. So, fortunately, it wasn't anything too major.
Too involved, yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that was something that couldn't do alone. Of course, kind of half crippled over here, but yeah, we got the contractor out. He got there within, I don't know, 30 minutes or so. I mean, he was out there really
that's great.
quickly. So,
Use
yeah,
him
it's
again.
good system. I'm sorry.
I said, we'll use him again.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. We've used
And
him
you.
before. We'll use him again. So, yeah, that
Where was
worked
the
out
leak?
on Capri
in
Isle.
Oak Brook.
Where?
In Oak Brook.
Yeah.
Do you,
Uh,
so I assume you ordered a replacement part for the part you had,
Oh,
or did
absolutely.
two?
Yeah, that's
Perfect.
kind of the system. We use a part. We'll order one or two more, or whatever the
Perfect.
the situation requires. But and
In a situation like that, it happening in the middle of the night is really good because then you don't have to worry about anybody losing water, getting ready for work.
Yeah.
But it's really bad for you.
I only had one neighbor come out and say, "Are you the reason they've not got low water pressure?" It's like, yeah, that's me. So it worked out really well.
So
One in the morning, go to bed.
How did you
Yeah.
find out about it? Did a resident call?
A
or
resident called, said they heard a noise, 2 pops. They thought it was 2 thumps or pops outside, and went out there and said, "There's water running down the street."
Glad they called it in.
Yeah,
Huh?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
go ahead and
Yeah.
woke them up. They weren't
Oh,
deep
yeah.
sleepers, or they were.
Yeah, it worked out real well.
Yeah.
And along the vein of just regular maintenance stuff, we had our maintenance for the air conditioning system here at the community center, and we identified 4 capacitors that need replacement. So we ordered 5. So that's one of those things that we really hate to operate under emergency situations. So
And it's June, yeah. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
going to be,
Oh, yeah.
those things are going to be taxed the next 2 months.
very much so.
So replacing them now is a good deal.
Did
Very
you
much
replace them yourself, or did you have somebody come in?
No, we have a contract
You have an
with
AC guy come in,
Greenleaf,
yeah.
so they came in. I mean, they checked everything, just voltage and all
Sure,
that
sure,
stuff.
sure.
So, yeah, there's 4 of them, just showing that yellow flag, saying, "Hey, I'm gonna fail soon."
Got to give up the ghost.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got all the parts and stuff on order, and hopefully we'll avert any kind of AC crisis at the community center.
So for that water leak, like I imagine imagine no one said anything, hadn't called it in, and it went on all night leaking water. How much water do you save for every hour you don't have the leak? Or how much gallons would you lose in an hour? I guess is what we look at.
Depends on the leak.
So
If you can't ballpark it, that's fine.
that leak was about 30 to 50 gallons a minute,
Oh,
roughly. So it was pretty significant.
yeah.
So yeah, it could have been really bad.
So every minute sooner you get it done, it's 30 to 50 gallons of water you save.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So yeah, and we took care of it in 2-3 hours. So not bad. I mean, that's all things considered. I mean,
Yeah.
you drive around.
Oh yeah,
Austin
you've
or
had them
Houston.
going all afternoon before, I'm sure.
Yeah. So we were fortunate. We had the parts, we had the personnel, so it worked out well.
3 hours is good.
Yeah, thanks for doing that.
Excellent.
That's
your
why
job,
we're here.
I know, but we
That's why
appreciate
we're
all we
Superior
do.
Water District, right?
That's why we're here. So
Yeah, he's like, I'm on my way. Yeah, we got a leak, whatever. Go back to sleep. And I'm like, that's just kind of rude. I'm not going to go back to sleep, you know? So I'm laying there and I'm freaking out. So then I woke up at like 3:15 and I looked at his text and it says, all done. Came in a little bit earlier and I went, well, I'm not texting him now because now I'd probably be waking him up, you know? So I'd wait till the morning. Good job. Yeah, no, I didn't go back to sleep. No, yes, I did. Yes, I did.
I thought you were gonna say that Jimmy was the contractor who showed up with the shovel.
that's funny.
No,
Yeah, no.
good
Yeah,
job.
there's no sense in both of us being awake.
Very good. Well, thank you for your dedication, as
Yes, sir.
always. Budget Committee. Director Barnes, do we have anything?
I think only that we were gonna have a draft budget before next meeting.
Yeah, we need to get together. You and Jamie.
Sometime during the second week of July would be perfect. This one's going on vacation the next week. Of course, the first week is the whole 4th of July. So somewhere in that week of July 8th through the 12th would be perfect.
I go back to summer school on the 8th, as in teaching summer school. So I'm not sure what my schedule is, but we'll figure it
I
out.
can do the first, second, or I don't know about the third, but first and second I know I can do.
So
we'll
we
talk
can
about
do evening. That's
Yeah.
fine too. So you teach until like 4 or so in the afternoon.
3:30 or
3:30 or
something like
4.
that.
We could do a committee meeting 5 or 6 o'clock,
Yeah,
whatever
we
works
can-
for you guys.
yeah.
We'll make it work.
We can make it
Okay.
work.
But that week would be perfect.
Ideal.
Yeah. I need him there. I can do it.
can.
If we have to wait till the next week, I can do it. But it's really helpful to have both of us in that spreadsheet. But if y'all need to move it to the next week, we can do that.
No, that time frame's good for me.
Okay, y'all just
Yeah.
talk amongst yourselves and then let me know.
All right, District Community Center Committee. Do you have anything?
No, we're all good.
All good. Deed Restriction Committee. Director Horton, we have anything?
Nothing outstanding, a couple requests for the typical fence, paint, that kind of thing. There was a question that got about an email from the director regarding a car with a flat tire and a partial car cover. I'll look into that. Haven't heard anything from the AC committee or so forth, but other conversations outstanding. Maybe it's not the time to run down that rat hole. But no, from deed restrictions and approvals, kind of the usual.
We've had a lot of like dumpsters and such in the neighborhood. A lot of people are doing a bunch of work. Some landscape materials that have been dropped off that we always wait till the next drive-through to see if it's still there before we send a letter because, I mean, people have.
Do they call you to tell you I'm going to have a dumpster in my driveway for 2 weeks or anything?
I
You get
wish
some of
they
those?
would. Some of them do. Some
Good.
of them,
All right. I wish more people would.
they're
Yeah.
doing a roof. And so, you know, I don't know that they even know that they're going to be bringing one of those dumpsters. Yeah. But I don't know of any that have gone past that 30 days. So yeah,
Do they even know they have to request a dumpster?
most people do, and we have some people that are really good. You know, we're going to have contractors here in the next month. So you're going to be seeing, you know, vans and trucks and such at the house.
It's move out time too. You may see pods, people loading up their house to move it
Absolutely.
out too. so.
Well, I know I mean, we require approval for anything over a day,
Yeah.
really. And then, and we ask them to, tell us a time frame, right? So if they think it's 30 days, tell us it's 30 days and we won't, we'll ignore it. But I'm thinking, do we have a separate email list for just the Fern Bluff neighborhood that we could send out a notice saying, like, just a reminder of some of the things, regarding deed restrictions?
Well, we
and
do. I mean, like,
processes?
questions, it's on the website. It's just the Fern, it's specific to the Fern Bluff neighborhood, not to Stone Canyon or not
Right,
to Oak Brook
right.
or whatever. Yeah, they can. And a lot of people will communicate with Sage. They don't even go to us. They send something to Sage and say,
Okay,
No,
so
we're
they're,
gonna
they're
have-
aware of how to contact Sage and ask them the question.
it's all on the website. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
So if you don't think we need to communicate anything further, that's fine.
I don't think we do.
Okay.
Most people have been really good about it. And Jimmy and them are really good. If they see them outside, they'll also stop. But I guess technically, there's nothing in our deed restrictions that say specifically about that.
About what?
About having
dumpsters.
work trucks or dumpsters or whatever. It's more specific to the ACC and doing maintenance. They need to submit an ACC request. We have gotten several of those ACC requests in the last couple of months.
Mhm.
But I'm sitting here thinking about all the streets. I don't know of any that we've got an issue with right now. One that I know that was there for about 5 weeks is gone this week. So they're done.
Okay, well, I mean, that's an option we can use down the road if we
Yeah.
find that we need
Yeah.
to communicate directly to that community.
We can. And we have a Fern Bluff specific email list that we can send stuff out to.
Okay,
Nice.
that's good to know.
All right. Director Barnes, we have anything for a security committee?
I do not, other than the fact that we are going to be considering, like Janie said, we're going to be considering a raise for our deputies, probably well deserved. And I think that's about it.
All right. Director Smith, communications report. Do we have anything?
Yeah, well, no, and not at the moment. I'm looking for content that we need to do. We were talking about, do we have any idea when the Brushy Creek work is going to start outside of Hillside?
We've been waiting.
Okay, so I can't think of anything else that we need to communicate right away. I think when that date comes up, and we already talked about the, my mind just went blank, what we talked about earlier in the, that I said we should put it in the newsletter. I should have wrote
The
it down.
trash out by 7 a.m.
Oh, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Trash out by 7 a.m. in all 3 neighborhoods. But I don't know if that's worth sending out something specific at the moment. So I
So
guess
that's maybe a bill insert?
that could be a bill insert. I don't, if you can, or a notice on the
Yeah, I
bills.
can put it, we just send our bills out. I can put it on
Yeah,
a
just
bill
as a
message.
reminder.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we can, when we do put out another newsletter in July or August, then we can go ahead
Yeah.
and add that in as well.
Something that I've noticed on these past couple weeks whenever I'm walking my dog is that, some people, especially on my street by where I live, somebody put a couch out thinking that it was going to be picked up. Maybe if sometime, like in whatever the next newsletter or whatever, I know we won't have a bulk pickup until September, October, something like that. Maybe mention something, because I had some bulk pickup items, but all I had to do was call. I did have to pay for it, but if you call them, usually it's like $50 or $100, something like that. They'll come, you put it out on Wednesday, they'll pick it up Thursday, and so, maybe
We can do that. We got that in there.
some kind of mention to, if you have bulk pickup items, then call and make arrangements, or just an idea.
If they're not, if they're an item that's not too huge, I mean, everyone sort of puts it out by their can, but a sofa, it's impossible for one person to pick up and get into the back of one of those trucks. So yeah, you're right. They need to call for a special pickup, and they're pretty good about it.
So we got trash out by 7, bulk pickup for non,
Sunday night, put it out Sunday night or out by 7.
right? And then we can also add in there that if they have a bulk item
Mhm.
in between our, Fern Bluff sponsored bulk pickup days, that they are free to call Republic
Yep.
for a special pickup at cost. Or something like that. Well, we'll work it
It's a
out.
reasonable cost, but
Reasonable cost. Ooh, keywords.
They'll give you a quote before they come.
Okay. Anything else? I mean, other than the date, if we get it between now and
Yeah,
in
if
July
we
for that work. And if you guys think of anything else that we should add, please let me know, obviously. That's it for me.
All right. Thank you, Director Smith. Next item, attorney's report. Anything of note?
No, sir.
Okay, nothing new. All right. Agenda item 15, confirm next meeting date, July 23rd. We're gonna be missing anyone?
I should be here.
You're gonna be out of here, all right?
I'll be out.
When?
Maybe. For a meeting?
No.
Maybe not.
Let's see, here's my calendar. You are going the 15th through the 20th, right?
There you go. Somewhere around there.
You'll be back, all right.
Just call me.
All right, do we have any future agenda items? Budget?
budget.
Anything else for future agenda items?
Have anything from?
Now, as far as future agenda items, because I believe that we're on contract with the deputies, do we need to have a actual formal agenda item to raise their pay? Do we need to
think you
amend the contract?
Yeah.
or
You
something
should,
like
because
that?
we serve under a contract with them, so I think it's advisable. Yes, sir.
So, I mean, that may not be something for the July meeting, but
But August or September? yeah,
once we
for
look
sure.
at the budget, then I think we need to do that.
So assuming that's all taken care of, when does the contract begin? In September, October for them? Or do we wait until next
Well,
year? Or when's their
We can
contract
do it
up?
whenever you guys want to. Whenever you want to do the amendment, we could just start it in our new fiscal year. Once we get it
Okay,
budgeted.
right.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it'd be October 1.
October 1, okay. So we're not stringing them along too long,
No, that's right.
basically, depending on this decision we make
All right.
later. All right. Good answer.
No other future agenda items? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Before we do that,
Oh, hit pause.
so there's some emails that came into our inbox over the last couple of weeks regarding legal matters. And that's some outstanding questions about some of the things we said and their accuracy or inaccuracy and so forth. That's something we should talk about offline, or should do a special session.
Do we need legal advice for it?
Yeah.
Okay, then
Let's do it.
then we need to do it. Okay, so then in that case, under Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code and the Texas Open Meetings Act, authorizes the board to convene executive session for certain purposes. These purposes include receiving legal advice from its attorney, Section 551.071, and we will do that right now. The time is 6:50, and the board will move into executive session.
And Jeremiah's going to.
Yes.
Yes.
So wait till we get the off there.